I'm from Sugar Grove, Virginia. We have a approximately 300-acre dairy farm nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. My earliest predecessor came from Germany in 1767, and they traveled to the United States on a ship called Sally. They had a land grant from the King of England, who was King George III at the time, for 62 acres in what is now Sugar Grove, Virginia. Sugar Grove is a very, very tiny community. I'd say there are roughly 600 people, definitely more cows than people in Sugar Grove. It's a really special place. It's very mountainous, it's very beautiful. No stoplights. We have a couple gas stations and a post office, but we have really one road that runs through Sugar Grove. So the farm is situated kind of right on top of this wonderful spring. They used it as a refrigerator before electric refrigerators were around. My dad frequently talks about putting watermelons into the spring as a child and going and cutting them open and biting into them. They were the best watermelons he ever had because they were cooled by the nice, cool, fresh spring water. And you can still to this day just dip a cup of water out of there and drink it, and it's the best water you'll ever have. When I first came to Wake, it took me maybe a week to realize that dairy farmers' children were not very prevalent. At the same time, people were always very interested in, oh, you came from a dairy farm. That's so interesting. People still do that, and people do still do that. Yes, we do still produce milk. I have an older sister and a younger brother, and we are the 8th generation to be born onto the original farm. But my grandfather, Abe, is the one who started the dairying aspect of the farm, and he started that in 1953. They started with 8 cows. They had electric milkers, which was a pretty big deal in 1953. Now the farm has about, there are probably 200 cows, and we milk around 200. I think 196 is what we milk right now. A couple years ago, my dad and a partner and my cousin started a bottling plant to bottle their own milk. It's called Duchess Dairies. It's 100% Jersey milk, so it has a higher butterfat content, and it's a very rich, delicious milk bottled in Rural Retreat, Virginia. It takes a kind of a lot of tenacity and perseverance to be a farmer and to be married to a farmer, so I have a lot of respect for my parents and for sticking with that. I remember maybe 2nd or 3rd grade, around the age where you realize that kids are moving into your class and they've come from different towns. And I remember asking my mom, when are we going to move? And she said, Amanda, you can't move a dairy farm. So it became pretty clear to me then that we were there to stay. We weren't ever going anywhere, and now that's something I really treasure. When I was a sophomore at Wake, I studied abroad in Spain, and that was a phenomenal experience. I mean, it was just really, I'd lived in Sugar Grove, I'd lived in Winston-Salem. Other than that, Salamanca was the 3rd place I'd ever lived, and it was a tremendous experience. My study abroad director, who was a professor at Wake, her name was Celia, and she was from Granada. And I remember when we were traveling to visit Granada, and we were on the bus on the way there, and I looked back at Celia and she just lit up. Her face just, she was so happy to be back in Granada, and I definitely feel that way as I go home to Sugar Grove. As soon as I get off the interstate onto the very windy country road that takes you back to the farm, I feel like I'm just smiling all over. I can't wait to go home and see the farm.